sacrifices. Two were sitting there and one was burnt, and I don't know which one. So the question is, what I was questioning was, when it says I don't know which one, does it mean that Moshe didn't know which one, or does it mean that the Brisa is trying to figure out which one?
Can I ask a
So
question?
the Brisa is
three different. What are the three different? Are they three of the same minim? Meaning
Yeah,
the same?
exactly. Goes.
Okay. So they're all se'irim.
Yeah. Okay. Gemara now says, Shaper ka'amrile, they responded to him well. They said that if it was because of Aninas, he should have burnt it. They should have burnt all three. What's Reb Nechemiah's reason? Reb Nechemiah letamei. Reb Nechemiah goes according to his reason that says, Da'amar kodesh Yisrael le'pasel b'aninas. Things that were sanctified just because of a special time are not invalid because of Aninas. It's only things that are for all generations. Aninas is a problem. This was a inauguration sacrifice, and the other one was a special sacrifice by Nachshon. That doesn't become invalid just because of something that took place. The everyday sacrifices, then that's a problem. So Amar Mar, the master said, this means it was stated before. That's another claim that they had, that if it's because of Aninas, so why didn't you wait till the evening to eat it? Shaper kamrilei. So they said good to him, they have a good claim. Why did you burn the sacrifice? If it's because of Aninas, you thought you had to burn it, you don't have to burn it, you wait till the evening and eat it then. So Kasavar...
Wait, I understand. If
this is a claim of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon on Rabbi Nechemiah. You say that the reason why it was burnt was because of Aninas. Well, let me tell you, if Aninas is the problem, they could have waited till evening.
And they wouldn't have had to burn it?
And they wouldn't have had to burn it.
And they could have just eaten it.
Right. So he responds back. Kasavar Aninas Laila Daraisa. He holds, you can't wait till evening. Evening is the same like the day. We had before a machlaikis. If Aninas of the night, of the day of death, is a biblical prohibition. If they're forbidden to eat it that night as well. The question is, Aninas, the day of passing, does the laws of Aninas apply to the evening after? It was a machlekes. So Nechemiah holds it applies to the evening after as well. If that's the case, so they claimed he should have waited till at night. Reb Nechemiah doesn't hold like that. Reb Nechemiah holds that that's a biblical problem as well. Davar acher, then they come back with another claim. They had three claims on Reb Nechemiah. But like Pinchas was there, and Pinchas is not an Einan. He could have eaten it. Aaron brought it, and Pinchas would eat it. He was a nephew. Shaper Kamerle, they said good to him. There's Savalak Rebbe Lazar. He holds like Rebbe Lazar. Dam Rebbe Lazar, I'm Rabbi Chanina. Rebbe Lazar says the name of Rabbi Chanina. That sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, say it every day.
Loi niskayin Pinchas at Shahargu Zimri. Pinchas wasn't a Kayin. He was only a Kayin after he killed Zimri. This is 40 years earlier.
Oh my gosh.
When was the inauguration of the... This is the second year they're in the desert, right? They came out in Nisan. They received the Torah towards the summer. They build the temple. After Yom Kippur, they start to make the collections to build the temple. And it's ready by Nisan. So it's just a year later. When's the story with Pinchas? That's at the 40th year when they're about to enter into...
later on.
Yeah, it's 40 years later.
Right.
39. When they're about to enter in. So Pinchas wasn't a Kohen.
What age Pinchas was at the time?
I think that says it was 13 or something.
So he born in the middle.
Yeah.
They didn't know that?
That's why he wasn't a Kohen.
They didn't know that?
But you know it because you
I was
know
the
of
same
this
thing.
opinion.
Right.
But not everyone holds of this opinion.
Huh.
The Ksiv, as it's written, "V'haisalei elazarei achar briskun asaylam." You see, you know it from Amr Ablas and Rami Chanina, right? It's like my students. They say, "What do we need farmers for? We can get everything from the grocery."
Fishing also.
Fishing. So no, it's the Rashi that told us this was from this Gemara or whatever. So Pasuk says when he's blessed, it says he'll be a kohen for future generations. That means that at that time he became a kohen. Ravashi Amrad Shesam Shalom Ben Ashvatim, until he made peace between the tribes. Shenem Rabbi Yishma Pinchas HaKohen Nasi Eid Rashi Alti Yisrael. What happened was, at the end of the book of Yeshua, the tribes on the other side of the Yarden, Gad and Ruvain, they built an altar, and the people thought that it was rebellious. They went to war. They got the men. They were going to go and fight against them. That they were rejecting the temple and all of that. And Pinchas went out and found out that they were doing it. I think just so that they should know that there's such a thing. It wasn't a rebellious act, but Pinchas went out and he made peace. So at that point, it says Pinchas went out. That's when he became a kohen, according to this opinion.
It's pretty crazy. You think try to get information rather than just react. That's pretty weird.
Investigate.
Oh boy. I just jumped to conclusion. Super worse.
Well, think about it. There was already an established place for it. So in a way, it could be looked at as rebellion.
It's like communication, though. Still.
Well, there wasn't cell phones. So. They lived on the other side of the on the other side of the.
What is it? Does it make a comment about this in the notes there? But I'll tell you the events in Tanakh are exaggerated by the negativity is always exaggerated.
Oh, really?
In order to make it, the lesson should be clear. In other words, all the good things are usually ignored in Tanakh.
Yeah, it's as it is written here as you stated.
Uh-huh. It does that not to change the story. It does that because there are lessons in Tanakh that it brings out. It's just like the news. The news only tells me the bad things that happen. It doesn't say that this family went to visit someone sick in the hospital. It doesn't say the Bikur Chayla, right? It wants to tell us like all.
Except when there's absolutely no news.
Right. Then they talk about the president.
Right.
Okay. Or sports.
Right.
Ravashi Amar. Okay, this was Ravashi. V'idach nami. V'aksiv v'hisli olzari achrav. It says already before. How could he say that Pinchas became a kohen at the time of at the end of the book of Yeshua, after they conquered the land? It says that him and his descendants will be kohenim. It says when he killed Zimri. So what does it mean that he became a kohen later? It says no. It says as a blessing that he will become a kohen. And when does he actually become a kohen? In the book of Joshua. V'idach nam yaksiv yishma Pinchas hakohen. It says over there Pinchas hakohen. That's the proof because it calls him a kohen. It says ayu leyach azari achrav. That's just to say that he was a kohen gadol. But really, he was a kohen already before.
Was he the kohen gadol?
Yeah.
For how many years?
I'm not sure. When it says leyach azari achrav, that's how Rashi explains that the kohenim gedolim will now come from Pinchas. That's this Rashi that's in brackets. I don't know what that Rashi in brackets means. Oh, Rashi in brackets means that it's a Rashi that was taken off the Ein Yaakov. See, because we have other prints, because what they did was they took the Rashi's commentary and they put it on the Rif and they put it on the Ein Yaakov. The Rif is the Rabbi Yitzchak Alfasi about 900 years ago, 1,000 years ago. He summarized the Gemara. He's cut out all of the conversation, and he just made the conclusions. So that was what they would study in certain places, like the Rambam would study. Yeah, we have it in the back of. It's in the back of.
So whether they cut out, they just.
Is that
what that is?
The Rif. Yeah.
So the Rif cuts out all
all of the conversation and back and forth. He just writes the conclusion. So in the yeshivas, the way you learn the Rif is you look at what did he leave out. You have to look at the Gemara, you look at the Rif, you see what he rejected, and then you say, why did he reject this? There's a way of studying the Rif. But because there's a Rashi, because they took the Rashi off the Gemara and put it on the Rif, and we still have a Rashi on the Gemara, over the years, Rashi on the Gemara sometimes was corrupted by copyists and all of that, but we compare it to the Rashi on the Rif, and sometimes we have earlier editions of Rashi because of that. And the same with the Ein Yaakov. So sometimes we have, we can compare the Rashis on the Ein Yaakov to the Rashis here, and we get different versions because they were printed
It was
different.
corrupted by the...
The copyists,
What would they do?
they either they edited it on their own, they thought that they didn't read it right, and they would make corrections, or they read abbreviations wrong, and they thought a yud was a vav and different things, letters. Rashi and Chumash is much worse because it was copied so many times. Every teacher probably had to copy it for his students. You can just imagine, now we find manuscripts, and we found the manuscript, we're going to put it in. There's just too many of them because that was the students were using that, and the Gemara was less. Okay. Nothing was done intentional.
When you say corrupted,
it wasn't intentional. It was messed up. Maybe someone did it intentional, but maybe someone did it intentional.
You're about to go to war.
I was like, well, okay.
Okay, so that would go in the news.
Yeah.
So Amar Rav,
Exactly.
Rav says, Moshe Rabbeinu kain gadol v'chelek b'kadshei shemayim haya. Moshe Rabbeinu was a kain gadol, and he was allowed to eat from what was sanctified. Shneimar me'ela miluim l'Moshe Yelamana. From the inauguration Riyam, it was given to Moshe as a portion. Meisvei v'alei Pinchas hayimayim. The Gemara asks a question. According to Rav, that says Moshe Rabbeinu was a kain gadol. So why do Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon ask on Reb Nechemia that why didn't they let Pinchas eat it? Pinchas wasn't an Oinen. He was a nephew. Moshe, if you say Moshe was a Kayin, Lema v'alei Moshe Rabbeinu hayimayim. He should have said Moshe was an uncle.
But
he's not a relative. Moshe could have eaten it.
1 second.
You have a problem, I'm sorry. Pinchas, this is talking about the first year. Pinchas was not born yet, according to your explanation. So how can Pinchas eat it?
You're right. Pinchas must have been born. Easy
Could
answer,
not
right?
be. No, could not be. Because Pinchas was 13 in Zimri, Maaseh Zimri. Maaseh Zimri was in the year of 39, the year 39. Pinchas was not born yet.
What's the 39? Is that Shana?
Yeah, he's right.
40 שנה היו
You're
במדבר.
right. You have a good question.
Sit over there. No, sit over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you come back to this.
פרץ, כמובן, בוא להחליף עכשיו פרץ, זהו.
He must have been
This
born.
is hot seat now, פרץ.
He must have been born. So the question is if he was born. Oh, I'll tell you the pshat.
And it
I'll
was
tell you
not,
what it was.
it was not a
Why
Kohen.
wasn't he a Kayan? If they became a Kayan then,
It was not a Kohen then. If he was born then, it was not
he
a
should have been a
Kohen.
Kayan. If he was born, he should have been a Kayan.
But he's not a Kohen. He got kuna אחרי.
Right, because he was born later. Maybe he was born, but he wasn't a bar mitzvah then.
Rabbi,
I don't know.
Moshe Rabbeinu
I don't know. You have a
on
good
Rosh
question.
Chodesh Nisan.
baby formula.
We're talking about Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right?
Yes.
General?
Jeff,
What
2 points.
wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu?
Rabbi.
Was Moshe Rabbeinu? He was the Kohen Gadol that day.
That's what Rav says. Rav says Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kayan.
So there's a machlekes as
Yeah,
to whether or not.
but
he's
according
the
to
Kohen
Rav, if you say Rav was, if you say according to Rav that Moshe was a Kayan, so why didn't Moshe eat from the sacrifice? Or why didn't he ask? Why didn't Rabbi Yehuda and Shimon ask? Pinchas should have eaten it. You should have asked. Moshe Rabbeinu should have eaten it. He was a Kayan. He could have eaten it. So the Gemara says, Dilma Shani Moshe detard b'shchina. Maybe Moshe was busy with the shchina. The Amar Mar, the master said, Moshe bashkama Allah bashkama yard. Moshe was going up to Har Sinai. He was coming down. He was so it was busy. Meisvei. Gemara asks the question. Lecha melikov mikadshei kadashim kadashim yoichal. It's talking about a kain with a mum. Im nemru kadshi kadshim lama nemru kadshim kalim. It says a kain with a mum is allowed to eat kachi kachim and kachim kalim, holy of holies and of secondary holiness. Even though he can't do the service, but he has a blemish, but he can still eat. Vim nemru kachim kalim, lama nemru kachi kachim. If he can eat from the secondary holiness, why does it have to say he can eat from the kodesh kadashim? Ilu lei nemru kachi kalim. It's asking both ways. If it says, if it wouldn't have said kachim kalim,
If it would have just said kachim kalim, right?
if it would have just said kachi kachim, if it did not say kachim kalim, the Yisiyamir would have said kachi kachim hudaichal. Why can he eat kodesh kadashim? Shehut l'zar, because we have a case of a zar that was eating kodesh kadashim. We'll see in a moment what that means. Shehut l'zar lehen, because it was permissible to a zar and to them. However, kachim kalim lo yoichlu. We never find kachim kalim eaten by a zar. Ve'ilu leinemar kachi kachim. If it wouldn't have said kachim, the holy of holies, it only would have said kachim kalim. Hayisim kachim kalim yeyoichal. Shehem kalim. Because they can only eat the secondary holiness, but not the first holiness, because it's more lenient. Kodesh kadashim lo yeyoichal. L'kach nemar kachi kadashim. That's why it has to say both. In other words, kodesh kadashim, we find the zar eats it. So I would have thought that only kachi kadashim, if it would have said only that. Kachim kalim is more lenient.
How would you think that? I'm sorry, but how would you think that you'd be
Kachi
able to
kadashim,
eat?
yes.
Yes, and
Right.
kachim
Because we have a case. You'll see. We have a case of a zar. L'kach nemar kachim kalim. That's what it has to say. Kachi kachim and kachim kalim. Kitani mi. Nevertheless, you taught shehut l'zar lehem. It was permissible to a zar and to them. Who's the zar? Lav Moshe. It must mean Moshe was a zar. Moshe was not a kohen, and he nevertheless ate. It's a kashan Rav. Rav said that he's a kohen. Rav Sheshes loy the bama lazar. It's talking about a bama that on a altar, a private altar that was for a zar, that the zar was allowed to do the service and eat on a private altar in those cases. According to the opinion that says that they could bring a korban mincha on a bama, that would be kodesh kadashim. A mincha is kodesh kadashim, and it was brought on a bama on a private altar. In those times that it was allowed, a zar would be allowed to eat from it. Moshe was really a kohen. It's answering Rav's statement.
Was Kohen Gadol.
Okay.
But not everybody holds that Moshe was a kohen gadol.
Rav says, you see the Gemara is contesting
Everybody
it.
holds Moshe was Kohen Gadol.
No, not everybody holds that.
We're allowed to
Sí,
sacrifice
Sheba Kiseva,
outside.
no, espérate,